Let's see how many comments I get after this one. Hey, it's Chris, back here with another video, and today I want to talk about a bit of controversy, and this controversy concerns the Marvel Comics / incoming Netflix original series, Iron Fist. So the upcoming Iron Fist show is in a lot of trouble because some people are claiming that the Iron Fist character is whitewashed. So the question of the day is Iron Fist whitewashed? And the answer is kind of, but not in the traditional sense. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Iron Fist, pretty much Iron Fist is about a boy named Danny Rand. He's like the rich heir to this company. Danny Rand gets sent away to Kunlun, which is like this fictional place in Asia where he ends up learning martial arts, and he ends up killing a dragon, and he gets these magical martial arts powers, and from then on he's known as the Iron Fist. He goes back to New York after getting his powers, and he's a superhero who fights other martial artists. That's pretty much what you need to know about Iron Fist. He's a white guy that went to a mythical Asian country, learned martial arts, and now he's back. Now before I go on this topic in depth, I want to just mention that Iron Fist as a character in the comics, to my knowledge, has usually always been a white guy, Danny Rand. This is not a Ghost in the Shell type situation where the character was meant to be, like for instance in Ghost in the Shell's example, like Japanese. When they decided to make a live action movie about it, they cast Scarlett Johansson, who's white, but still keep all the Japanese imagery within the movie. Like it's very strange. Iron Fist is a bit of a different situation because Iron Fist was always white in the comics from the beginning. Whilst in Ghost in the Shell, they literally took an Asian character and made them white, presumably to appeal to the wider, like, Caucasian majority audience. So why are people mad about Iron Fist then? If Iron Fist is white from the beginning, then what's the problem? They didn't change anything. Well, some people feel that the story of Iron Fist uses what many call the white savior trope. So the idea of the white savior trope is that there's, this group of minorities that has this problem, and a white guy kind of goes into this country, and these people, they could be Asian, they could be black, they could be Native American, whatever. He ends up learning, their way of life, and he'll learn, maybe martial arts or their way of fighting or whatnot, and he ends up saving these people. It's known as the white savior complex. TV Tropes actually calls it Mighty Whitey, which is it's kind of funny. So this idea of the white man going in and saving minorities from their problems is not like a new thing. It's been in TVs and movies for years. Examples of the white savior complex would be movies like, say, The Last Samurai, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, that new movie Matt Damon's The Great Wall, and even the idea of the movie Avatar. Not that Avatar has real racial minorities, but it still deals with a white guy kind of have to go in and go undercover and save these people from their problems. Since Iron Fist has a similar idea to the white savior complex, a lot of people kind of see it as like racist. People always wonder, why does a white character have to come in and help these minorities with all of their problems? So is the premise of the Iron Fist show problematic? Yes, it is. And the reason it's problematic is because the Iron Fist story has always been problematic. It's always been a white savior complex. It's not that Iron Fist took a story that was really good and made it bad. It's that they took a story that was already kind of flawed and they didn't do the progressive change. So this is leaving people of color, Marvel and comic book fans, a little upset, and I can understand that. This isn't a Ghost in the Shell situation where they took something that was perfectly fine and regressed it. This is something that already had issues and they just didn't change. So I have kind of some words for both sides of this argument. First of all, let me just preface this and say I'm not Asian, so I'm not going to go and tell Asian people of Asian descent, if they should be upset, how they should be upset, because I feel like there's so many people who constantly want to control others and tell them, you shouldn't be mad about this, you should get over this. Dude, if someone feels like a show is stealing their culture or not being fair to their culture, they're okay to have that belief. It's a free country. If people want to voice their concerns, they want to write articles and blogs online, they want to tweet to the actors and whatnot, all that is okay. That sends a message to Marvel and Hollywood in general that people aren't happy. And specifically, and specifically Asians are often unrepresented in American media, so TV and movies. Now, TV is a little bit better in movies traditionally, but it's still rare to find Asian Americans in lead roles, and a lot of you feel like Iron Fist would have been a great opportunity to finally have an Asian lead actor in a lead role for a show, just like how Luke Cage did that for African Americans. One problem I have is that sometimes you get people who say, like, I think this show is wrong, and if you watch this show, you're supporting whitewashing and white supremacy and all of this kind of stuff. You know, this idea of like, I'm gonna shame you for watching the show because I think something about it is morally wrong. I personally don't think that's cool, okay? People watch shows for many reasons. Am I gonna watch Iron Fist? Yes, I'm personally gonna check it out because I know that he's gonna be a part of the Defenders with Luke Cage and Daredevil and Jessica Jones. I wanna see how this show is gonna connect to those shows. Does this mean I wanna like enable like whitewashing in media, white supremacy in media? No, I may want to watch a show for other reasons. So if you don't want to watch a show, that's fine. And if you want to tell other people this is why you shouldn't watch a show, that's also fine. But when you shame and go after people who are interested in the show or curious in the show, a show that no one's really seen and hasn't come out yet, that's not cool. So I don't believe in shaming people into watching or not watching a show because of the elements. Okay, it's a free country. If you want to watch something, watch it, and don't let anyone tell you to not based on their opinion, because that's what all this stuff is. It's an opinion, and we all have one. A lot of the anger comes from the fact that Asians are often underrepresented in lead roles in TV and movies. TV is a little bit better than movies. I mean, Marvel itself has Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that has 2 Asian female leads, but still. So it can be really disheartening where people feel like there's a show that sort of like takes so many aspects of their culture but doesn't want to include them in the forefront. Now there are other Asian people in the show, but the main character is white, and people have a problem with that. Now, you'll sometimes get people that will be like, well, Iron Fist is white in the comics, so I don't see why people are upset. But the thing is, Iron Fist was created in the 70s, and the 70s were racist. There's racism throughout the history of not just comics, but just American media. And in 2017, writers and directors should be aware of certain things and try to make changes to make certain things better. Luke Cage was a blaxploitation sort of stereotype where, you know, he had catchphrases and he was the cool black guy. And when they created the show that came out in September, they changed some of those elements around because at the end of the day, blaxploitation was kind of racist and had some issues, and they had to go and rework it for the modern age. And at the end of the day, that's something that I hope that they do with Iron Fist, and we'll have to see how the final show ends up turning out. If you're going to have a movie that has to deal with martial arts culture, it should probably deal with people who have more of a connection to that culture. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea of this debate. And I'll tell you up front, look, I'm not the boycott guy. There are a lot of people where, you know, a company or a show does something they don't like, and they're like, I'm dropping this, I'm boycotting this. I'm weak. I'm a big geek. Like, if Marvel puts something out, I'm at least going to check it out. I'm going to watch it personally because I've seen the other shows. I want to see how this show links up to the Defenders, and I want to see how these other characters are going to interact with Danny Rand. Marvel's also on my good side with movies like Captain America Civil War and Luke Cage. So I'm hoping that this, you know, at worst, I think it's going to be okay. I don't really see it being terrible since the other Defender shows are so topically, like, relevant. Like, you know, Daredevil dealt with, like, crime and corruption. Jessica Jones dealt with, like, sexual abuse. Luke Cage dealt with, like, racism or racial discrimination. I mean, Luke Cage had references to the Black Lives Matter movement, like in a Marvel show. Like, it's crazy. And from the trailers, Iron Fist does kind of seem less relevant. You know, you just got a white guy who's like, now I'll show you how the Asians do it. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. Now, at the end of the day, dude, Finn Jones arguing with, I believe he's arguing with the Asian woman about his portrayal of the character. Dude, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. Just take the high road and just ignore it, because people aren't going to not be mad because you don't want them to be mad. So just take the high road, Finn, please. If you've also looked on Twitter, you'll notice that the banner for their Twitter account has Colleen Wing, the female protagonist who is Asian, And I think that's kind of Marvel's way of saying, like, yeah, we know, don't worry, we have Asians in the show, like, we're not racist, we swear. So I think as of right now, Marvel's just trying to do damage control until this show comes out, and hopefully, I believe they're hoping that it gets positive reviews, that this backlash can just be left behind. So we'll have to see what happens. So, what do you think about Iron Fist? Do you think that Iron Fist steals from Asian culture? You know, will you be watching the show? You know, what's your opinion about this whole issue? And even Finn Jones leaving Twitter. Leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. Or you can leave a comment telling me that you hate me for my opinion, but hey, it's okay, go for it. Just let me know what you think, and I will catch you all later. Peace.